Thank you. Okay, so it's my joy to introduce Matthew, a beloved friend, and we're just so blessed to what he offers us. So that's all I have to say. Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. How are we? Are you open to just doing a little grounding meditation with me for a moment before I start blabbering? Let's do that. Let's all root together. So, really setting now a conscious alignment together as a tribe, as a family, as a sangha. First and foremost, if we'd like to bring our palms face down in a gesture of grounding, and so allowing ourselves to be weighty, aligning with the descending current of consciousness, that which nature is to root. Let's root together. And allowing the weight of our bones to get heavy, settled deeply. And on our next exhalation, let's now visualize together us energetically growing roots down into this incredible place on earth that we're sitting. And connecting with the core of the earth. And anchored this incredible great mother on our next inhalation now. Let's start to rise through our spine just a quarter of a centimeter. Uplift a little bit more through the top of our chest. Allow a softness in the back of the neck. And let's bring our awareness now to the crown of our skulls. If you'd like to gently turn your palms face up. Let's consciously now invite grace. Invite that which connects us all. The intelligence behind all the systems in our body. The interconnection throughout nature. That's open to the diverse oneness of creation. And we welcome that presence here, consciously. To guide and to bless this precious time together. And now if we'd like to visualize a pillar of light, whatever color, whatever you want to envision, rooted in the earth and expanded and open and joyfully expressing up and into the cosmos. Let's all visualize that within our bodies first, And if you'd like to extend that visualization through this room, Sat Nam, truth is our name. Soham, presence we are. So I'm personally so grateful to be here with you all. And I find it such a privilege to be able to share in whatever capacity this is. I'm not really sure. There's so much happening on so many levels. And that's the truth of who each of us are. There's so much happening on so many levels, and often what we're experiencing is dependent on how we're placing our attention, right? So these moments to come together in a space that is intentional like this, which reminds us of these universal ways of perceiving, these universal remembrances that are important to all of us, whether we acknowledge that or not. For me, there's nothing more important than being reminded of the connection, of the preciousness, of the gift, of the opportunity, which is continually here with each breath. Because one day each of us is going to have our last breath. And in that moment especially, we'll be like, oh man, I was given so much, you know. So, it's Father's Day. I didn't even know it was Father's Day until Mary shot me an email like a week ago. She's like, oh, and it's Father's Day. Can you mention something about fathers? It's like, what I was feeling to share is so in alignment anyways. But I want to share a little bit about my father, and I think it can be applicable to our little talk and our little journey. So my father is an incredible man, very creative, very comical, hilarious, very unique. People described him as drumming to his own beat. He's one of those people you just couldn't put in a box, you know. And sometimes people like that have a tough time on this planet, you know. He was put in Catholic school from an early age. And that created a lot of trauma for him. He was super artistic, you know, books and things like that. He was very connected to the earth, very good with his hands, loved the ocean, was a surfer from a very young age. And so the beating into submission, which was very much a part of that institution back then, didn't work well for him. And it created a certain chip on his shoulder, you know, and a defiance to authority. So as he started to get older, he started to get in trouble, you know, and ultimately just became kind of a surf bum. At 17, jumped in a VW van with his friends and drove the whole Baja Peninsula back in the early 70s when it was just a dirt road. And that's 1,000 miles of a Mexican dirt road. That was hardcore back then. The van broke down in Mulegé, and they were stuck for like 3 weeks trying to fix the van, you know. He was freest down there by the ocean. Then he started to figure out, oh, I got to make money too, you know. So he started to learn the trade of carpenter. And that worked well for him. He was really good at that. But his parents, specifically his father, he was a Marine, you know, fresh getting out of the military, wasn't so keen on the surf bun and carpenter lifestyle, you know. And a lot of aggression from a very young age from his father. And so all of these experiences impacted him a lot. You know, inside very creative people, which there's a creative person in all of us, is extreme sensitivity. You know? And so when you're met in the external world with aggression, just for being yourself, it's really painful. Ultimately, all those challenging times got stuck in his energetic body. You know, started picking up cigarettes and alcohol to medicate, and ultimately lived kind of this life where he had his moments of freedom and then his moments of just putting up with life. Right? Okay, I got to go to work for the next 4 months. I'm going to focus, do that, you know. And then I get to go to Baja for 2 months, you know, and surf. That's kind of how I saw my father, you know. So it's kind of this split, you know. And ultimately, his body became pretty toxified, you know, from the nicotine and a lot of alcohol. And he ultimately committed suicide. That experience with death at an early age was such a gift for me. At that point in my life, I'd been on my spiritual path like really passionately for about 7-8 years. I'd sensitized to a bigger picture of things. And I felt at the moment when he died, his spirit closer to me than ever. I felt him nearer than ever. Because all those traumas and things he was carrying from his past, he wasn't able or didn't know how to relate in a really sensitive, loving way face to face. Can you relate with any of this? In your own masculine relationships or your own fathers? Of course, to higher or lesser degrees, but the last few months of his life, he was having this incredible awakening. At one point, he's like, I think your guru zapped me. And I'd never heard him say the word guru. I wouldn't say that around him, you know, because he's a crusty surfer type, you know. So he knew I was going to India and these things, but we didn't really talk about it, you know. It's just like, he's looking at me in a weird way. But the last few months, something was happening to him. Like, I think your guru zapped me. I was like, really? What's happening? He's like, I don't know. But I'm finding joy for no reason, and also I have all this anger coming out, and I don't know what to do with it. And he's like, what do I do with it? And I'd never had my father ask me anything like that. Like, you know, ask me for information. I was his apprentice for years, you know. He's usually the one just giving me funny but cruel little remarks because I'm kind of stupid, you know, trying to learn the trade. And I was like, well, this is what I do. This is what I try. And ultimately all this was coming out. I could see how his past was trying to unload. And I think that's what's happening for a lot of people right now. As this process of awakening, as the frequencies change on this planet, we have to unload our past in order to be present. We can have moments like we have in these circles where it's a lot easier because this is a conducive space. We're creating a very intentional field here. We can step into it. But more than likely, and we'll walk out of this room, we'll jump in our car, and we'll jump into a pattern response mechanism. You know? And so his patterns were starting to come up. And ultimately it got too intense for him. And he hit the eject button. And a lot of people have different concepts and beliefs around suicide. I did. Thought, oh, that's like a grave sin, you know. But after experiencing it firsthand and seeing and feeling, I was like, wow, that's actually a brave thing to do. And I honored him in it because he knew no other path. He had to do that. And I watched him in the other side, in the other plane, struggle with it for a bit. But ultimately he got up into the lighter realms. And so I wanted to share that story about my father. And then I want to share a story about my spiritual father. And I think these two sides will be helpful to us all, hopefully, in one way or another. So I went to India when I was 23 for the first time. And I went because I was suffering so bad, and I could recognize my suffering, and I was finally being sober with myself enough to say I'm suffering. You know? I woke up in the morning, I was like, I'm not grateful to be alive. You know? I started to really look at that, you know? Ultimately, it got so strong that I just knew I needed help. And grace started to come in one form or another, eventually pushed me to go to India, across the world, and to this weird school. Yeah. And so the first day we get there, and it's like, oh, pack, load up, get on the bus. We need to go really fast. And we're taken to this campus, and there's probably like 1,000 Indian people there. And it's like, I had no idea what we're doing. You know, there was, in India, has anyone been to India here? A few of us. Huh? They don't work through logic and ration there. Sometimes I look at them, it's like, what do you work through, you know? It's just a totally different way of life. And that's actually the beauty of it too. It's very spontaneous and from the heart. It's not logistical and from the head. Anyways, we get to this big building, and there's thousands of people there, and there's a chair up there. And after sitting for what seemed like way too long, this man in white comes out and sits down. He's got a white beard, and everyone closes their eyes. And then suddenly everything gets very still and very quiet. And we just sit like that for who knows how long. And eventually he opens his eyes. And the monk tells us all to open our eyes. And I was hit with a wave of love like I'd never felt before in my life. And that moment changed my life forever. I was taught so much in that one moment, really, as I reflect. And when we have these powerful experiences of truth, and it's the same with a universal truth or a universal teaching, if we sincerely reflect on them, they're a living benediction. They're a source of light. And no matter where we're at on the path, it was like that affirmation this morning, there is something there for us to fuel us on our path. And so when I was praying about this talk today, the first message that came through was radical responsibility. But that felt kind of heavy. It's like, all right, yeah, well, that's okay, I feel that. But then it merged into empowered freedom through the vertical. And so when he sat down, energetically, what the guru represents and actually what the word means is the weighty one. The weighty one. And so that which is actually weighted and anchored on the earth. The guru has come down onto the earth, not come up and out like so many spiritual philosophies that thinks about rising up and ascension. It's actually come down. The spirit has come down, and the body has married with the spirit. The spirit has married matter. Spirit has married earth. And that's all of our intrinsic design, actually. That is our dance down here on earth. So the master, the guru, has become a conducive channel for the nature of what we all are. It's our intrinsic design. And so when the guru opens their eyes or opens their mouth, then the horizontal plane opens and it becomes a blessing, becomes a benediction, because they are so tapped in first and foremost to that vertical line of consciousness, that spirit streaming down through the crown of the head, filling, igniting the heart, and then running all these intelligent systems through our body, and ultimately coming down. And the feet in India are a blessing. It's a sacred place with the guru because there's the most nerve endings in the feet. And so that nervous system, that energetic body is so online, it's so ignited. There's a power in the feet. A lot of us forget about our feet, no? Does that resonate with you all? Some of the things I shared. So honoring this day of this sacred Father coming down within us all, this dance of the Mother and the Father, that spirit marrying matter, and then it's expressing through the heart, through our actions. But what I really want to highlight, and I feel like it's helpful for us all, before we do a song, because this was a lot of words together, is what the Father represents. The gift of the Father is the sacred principles, the intelligence behind creation, the Dharma, the mission, the intelligence. The Mother, the unconditional power, the unconditional energy, just wants to give, right? The Father wants us to learn, wants us to digest, wants us to integrate so that we can then embody evolution. Like my father teaching me carpentry. I needed to learn how to use the skill saw, learn how to use the tape measure, learn how to apply my own physical engagement with wisdom, with reason, with right action in the physical world. Not just go give hugs. Some people's path is that. Amaji. So that dance, learning right action. How do we maneuver more masterfully? Does that resonate with everyone? let's play a song and we'll keep going. Does everyone like to sing here? Really? So grateful to be sitting here with my friend Colombe. So Satnam means my true name. I think it's a good mantra to align us more with the vertical, because we all get confused down here on the horizontal. My name. Nowadays, a lot of confusion with gender and everything else. Satnam aligns us directly with Soham, which is the unconditional presence behind all of our eyes. Satnam, Soham, Satnam. We can try it. Satnam, Soham, Satnam, Soham, Satnam, Soham, Satnam, Soham, Satnam, Soham, Satnam, Soham, Soham, Satnam, Soham, Satnam, and Soham, Satnam, and Soham, Soham, Satnam, and Soham, Soham, Satnam, Soham, Soham, Satnam, Soham. I carry all my relations. 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 We carry all our 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 relations. All relations root back into the source of the one. Let's try that together. All relations root back into the source of the one. Soham. All relations root back into the source of the one. Soham. All relations root back into the source of the one. All relations rise up into the source of the one. Let's try that a few times. All relations rise up into the source of the one. Soham. All relations rise up into the source of the one. All relations rise up into the source of the one. while we're in this space of the magic of the mantra in this prayer, let's take a moment to visualize perhaps the relationships that are making up our life right now. And a common pattern for all of us is to sometimes get a little caught up with labeling and thinking we know that relationship or that person to be like this or that. But I invite us all to perhaps breathe, welcome those relationships into our heart and back into this vertical line. The Soham, the Satnam, the truth of presence. As we breathe them up into our heart and exhale and soften into the heart, let's give these relationships back to that presence, which is the truth in our heart. So do any of you get a little caught up in the external world sometimes? Like a little ambitious at work, a little overly passionate, maybe a little overly stressed, a little overly caught up sometimes in that relationship or that, have that turmoil with someone. All of a sudden, all this thinking, all this energy is going towards that person, trying to figure things out, trying to work things out, trying to do whatever we're doing out here. And we all have that. I think it's just a pattern of us humans. But this principle of the vertical line first, right? First and foremost. And bringing whatever kind of overextended, scattered energy that we've put out or are putting out still, bringing it back, taking the time for ourselves to bring it back into the vertical line, back into the heart, rooting it into the body. The truth of it's in the body, whether we like it or not. Yeah. And then opening to that which is bigger to help us integrate it, purify it, heal it, etc. Otherwise, we carry it until we do so. Just like my father, and our fathers, and our fathers' fathers, and us, unless we do it. So in the yogic sciences, they're very clear about this. And it starts with the physical body. They have these practices for the physical body and for the way you engage with yourself and with others. And then they have the asanas. They have the weird postures and things that help open and strengthen and attune the body. And then they have the pranayamas to start attuning our energetic systems. And then they have these more esoteric principles. And the first one is pratyahara, and that is bringing our attention, withdrawing it from the senses in. And from there, we start to cultivate what they call dharana, which is a steadiness. So this steadiness is really important for us all on the spiritual path. This ability to steadily engage in our own internal world, to see what's there, to see what we're carrying, to see what we're actually carrying. And that's why so many incredible traditions advocate meditation, right? But I've met so many people also that they'll meditate 2-3 hours a day, and I'm not sure what they're doing when they're meditating, because you can go all different places. The mind can take you to all different places. Maybe they'll have some nice music, and maybe they're feeling better. That's cool, for sure. But this steadiness, this embodied steadiness, if we learn to cultivate that, we will start to filter through the files, the file cabinet that's inside our heart, that's inside our energetic system. And as we cultivate this willingness to be there in steadiness, to look and to breathe, and no matter what comes up, we willingly look. That's this dharana, that's this steadiness. And then the spirit is able to come down and do whatever it needs to do. It's incredible alchemy. This naturally leads to the next step. The more a practitioner, a sincere student does this, it leads to what's called dhyana, which is an effortless meditation. Okay? And it's just, you're able to bask then. It's like, oh man, I do not even need a glass of water right now. And this unconditional fulfillment starts to come online. And there's one more step after that, and it's called samadhi. And it's that absorption. You start to absorb. That is spirit and matter, embodied presence. It starts to come online so much. And then we're unconditionally free. And that is the nature of how we're designed. That is that embodied freedom within the vertical. The title of the talk today. But I feel like there's nothing more important for us to remember as humans right now. Because especially with all these shifts and changes and uncertainties and craziness happening in the external world, you can see there's so much energy going like this, right? But the more we can take that, utilize it, go inside, into the vertical, into this pillar of potential, which each of us is, it transforms that, it transmutes it. I watched one man to open his eyes and blast off 1,000 of us in just a couple seconds, Rip open the hearts, Change our life forever. That's our potential. That is our power. Because our external world is always going to need refinement. And that's the nature of the horizontal plane. It's changing, it's ever moving, and that's the beauty of the Shakti, if you will. I don't like to label things, but just, in service to this talk, we can call the vertical the Father, and the horizontal the Shakti, the expression of the Mother, the creative force. Like, what do I want to create now? The beauty is, when we are attuned and alignment and sensitive to the vertical within our own heart, within our own dharma, then what we express out is then in alignment with nature's way, in alignment with nature, in alignment with service to one and all. We become a gift and a blessing. And even the smallest little things, it's not like we got to be like, in a parade, saying some incredible Martin Luther King style speech, the smallest gestures, even just walking in the supermarket in the fruit and veggie section and just taking a moment to, behold the bounty which we've freaking created already, behold what's not wrong. Stop looking at always what's wrong, And it's not neglecting it, it's simply seeing the bounty. That can transform and change and impact in a big way. And each of us does that uniquely. And when we start to see that in each other, that's where the phrase namaste came up. God and Goddess in action, here we are. We finished at 11. Okay. Time always goes so fast here. All right. Shall we do one more song? What if we were already home, already home? What if we were already home, already home? What if we were already home, already home? Already whole, already full, already ready in body, heart, and soul. Awaken revelations, blessing the world. Blessing the world. Blessing the world. We are already home, we reap what we sow. Sacredly we walk, we talk and we roll. And chapters full of characters, animals, plants and lands. We breathe in at ease and dare to see our reflections as we strive outside in our earthly hive. We thrive when we serve one another from the holy I and I. Holy I and I. Satyam, 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 Satyam. Let's try it. Satyam, it's the truth. Satyam, Satyam, Shiva Sundaram. Ever deepening in vibration as we gaze within. We spiral into the unknown over and again. Revelations unravel the proof of me and you now. Who's who to prove when there's so much to see? So we see. To be free, all the rest happens to happen automatically. And seer dissolves into the seeing dream. Oh my, what a journey from me to you to we to who to all. From me to you to we to all. From me to you to we to all. From me to you to we to all. Satyam, 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 Shiva Sundaram, Satyam, 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 Satyam. Jababa bolo, 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 Jababa means victory of the Father. Jababa bolo, 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 Jababa bolo. Already home, already full, already ready in body, heart, and soul. Already home, already whole, already ready in body, heart, and soul. Already home, already whole, already ready in body, heart, and soul. Already home, already whole, already ready in body, heart, and soul. Already home, already home, already ready in body, heart, and soul. Already home, already home, already ready in body, heart, and soul. Pure, pure like the waters, let it run forevermore. To be clean, clean as the waves come crashing to the shore. It leaves we smooth, smooth as a pebble, polished in the depth of love, and carried by the winds of grace on the wings of a dove. So shine, shine as a diamond, and project the light of one. Through the source we are sent through the center, like the moon reflects the sun. Arise and awake from your slumber. Ancient kindled flame is witness to the waves of what's to change, and though the essence remains the same. All love remains, and all it finds a way, and all it fades away, and all it finds a way. And all stays the same. So if we've shared anything that we're grateful for this morning, let's take some moments to acknowledge what we've been provided. Extending that acknowledgement through our lives right now, perhaps into the homes, our shelters, the food in our fridges and pantries, the pets that are perhaps waiting for us, the loved ones. So extending our acknowledgement of the gift that's already given. And now let's send blessings to our family, our one family, our global tribe. And whatever color blessing, what to visualize from this space, from your heart, let's send that out in all directions, to all relations. Blessings of fullness. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purna Mudachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamedam Pasishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. And lots of gratitude to CSL, TT here, and all the efforts and organizers and the hands that make this possible for us. Lots of gratitude to Colombe and her magic heart in all the forms. Yeah, thank you all so much. We have a really special event, June 27th, if it's okay. I'd love to share that. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's a flyer back here. But also I can't help but sharing. I'm so excited to bring our dear friend Kieran Jote and also Joss Jaffe to our town for the first time. Incredible musicians, and her heart songs are on fire right now. She's really next level. We'll also be there with Tati Tamira. She's an incredible sacred geometry and mandala artist. So we'll be using sacred music, mantra, and also the technology of mandalas and sacred geometry to raise our vibrations. Have a really nice gathering June 27th at the Peace Offering. And also there's one space left. We have a retreat coming up in Mount Shasta in July. So if that's something that might call to you, I have 6 days in the power and majesty of Mount Shasta. We'll be praying and exploring and doing all kinds of healthy things. Thank you all so much for your open-hearted and receptive energy and presence here today. I'm super grateful and feel very fortunate to be able to share. Thank you. Also, I have some music out on Spotify and stuff if that interests you. I would love your support, and I would love to stay connected on if you do the social media thing or anything like that. All right. Right. Oh yeah, there's some flyers and things back there for all that.